All right, let's do some shots here.
Okay, well, all right, but why are you so bitter?
Because these producers are making us talk about this topic.
Well, let's at least enjoy it.
All right. Welcome to Hotline TV, everybody. I'm John Mercurio.
And I'm Amy Walter. Well, in case you were in a small town this weekend, maybe without cable, Barack Obama's gaffe at a Bay Area fundraiser has him on the defensive.
I think it was a San Francisco fundraiser.
Yeah, San Francisco is even more important. All right. At the event, Obama said many small-town Americans were bitter because they've been left behind by the global economy and therefore cling to their guns or religion. Then all hell broke loose.
He was explaining to a small group of his donors what people who live in small towns right here in Pennsylvania are like. He said that they cling to religion and guns and I don't think he really gets it that people are looking for a president who stands up for you and not looks down on you.
But when I hear my opponents, both of whom spent decades in Washington, saying I'm out of touch, it's time to cut through the rhetoric and look at the reality. They'll even come around with TV crews in tow and throw back a shot and a beer. But if those same candidates are taking millions of dollars in contributions from the PACs and the lobbyists, ask yourself, who are they going to be toasting once the election's over?
All right, so John, let's do the state of the race. How is this going to affect Pennsylvania and maybe bigger picture?
Well, we have a poll out today, which was taken, of course, before this news broke. It shows that the gap is narrowing. He's only about 4 points behind Hillary. I think she probably gains from this, but I think all this does is it sort of changes the expectations for the game. She now has to win.
She has to win big, much bigger than she did in Ohio.
Or more. She then has to go on and win Indiana. She then has to go on, I think, and
Kentucky,
win
West
North Carolina, Kentucky, and West Virginia. The problem becomes, and this is why I think Republicans are the ones who are so excited about this whole situation, is because it's a damaging story for Obama, probably though not damaging enough to actually cause him the nomination. But what it does then is sends him into a general election as a damaged nominee, and a nominee that they can more quickly and more effectively turn into the Michael Dukakis, the John Kerry. They can bring up the Belgian endives, the Brie, and all those things, and they can start to make that what is ultimately their most effective argument against a Democratic nominee.
Which is what? He's an elitist, out of touch.
He's an elitist, he's out of touch.
Which I think
would be, rural America.
And I think, okay, so let's talk about two things. The first is, one, that argument did work very well against John Kerry, and it worked well against Michael Dukakis when, I don't know, the right direction, wrong track number was maybe in the 40s or something like that, as opposed to 80% of voters saying they want to change. So I think that, again, the Republican brand, much more tarnished. The benefit of the doubt that voters are willing to give the status quo lower than ever.
Sure.
I mean, so the bar is much higher, I think, for Republicans on this argument. I'm not saying that it doesn't always, it's not going to be an effective argument. In fact, it's the best thing they have going for them right now.
It's definitely the best thing they have going for them.
But what we haven't seen yet is, okay, put Barack Obama, out of touch, elitist, versus John McCain, out of touch, stay in Iraq for 100 years, doesn't know anything about the economy. I don't know. That's basically what voters are going to have the choice of by the time we hit November.
Right. And ultimately, I don't think it costs anybody anything because it's words that he said as opposed to a record and a long term. And I think, frankly, the blessing for Obama could be that it did come out at this point in the campaign, and that there will be other opportunities for him to talk to rural America, to actually make the case if he does end up becoming the nominee. But look, Hillary Clinton can take that argument, that case,
all the way till
affect
June.
him. She can take it not to the voters, not to Pennsylvania and Indiana, but to the superdelegates, because again, those are the people who ultimately she needs to make the case that ultimately, if you give this nomination to Obama, you're putting it in the hands of a very inexperienced nominee. It's not about necessarily him saying this. It's not necessarily about him referring to his grandmother as a typical white person. It's about what could come next. Is he establishing a pattern of being sort of unpredictable, unvetted? I mean, he's probably the most unvetted Democratic nominee that we've had in at least a generation.
Well, no. John Kerry got the nomination in like 15 minutes after he won Iowa.
But John
so
Kerry
that
had
was
run for Senate for
but
6
nobody
times,
knew
and he had served in office,
him.
and he had served.
But
people knew a lot of stuff about John Kerry.
Most national Democrats. He did not go under the rigor that Obama and Clinton have in this campaign. I don't think anybody has, at least not that we've seen
That's
in
possible.
recent times.
All
Perhaps.
right. But that's all about the time we're going to have to give this topic today. But I'm sure you on this and other shows will be hearing quite a bit about BITTERGATE. Until then, though, I'm John Mercurio.
And I'm Amy Walter, and next time we'll have vodka. Much better than tequila
Oh, I had
shots.
vodka. Oh, no, I did have
Oh,
tequila. It tasted
no.
like vodka.